dear learners, I'm Christina Georgy and I welcome you to my session. Today we have quite an interesting topic for discussion, which is the nature of language. So today's focus areas include what is language, what is linguistics, the definitions of language, and finally the origins of language. So let's have a look at what language is. So it is simply a tool of communication. Remember, here the word language refers only to natural human languages, which refers to languages like English, French, Hindi, Malayalam, Tamil, etc., and not artificial languages like Esperanto or any other form of communication such as sign language or body language or any variety of animal communication. So according to the American linguist Charles F. Hockett, language is, I quote, the most valuable possession of the human race, I unquote. Each one of us makes use of language in virtually everything we do. The use of language is an integral part of being human. It is not easy to define language. So before we move on to the definitions of language, I mentioned the term linguist. Do you know what a linguist means? Before that, let me ask you, are you familiar with this term linguistics? If not, let's have a quick look at that. Yeah, what is linguistics? Linguistics is the scientific study of language. So the term linguistics is derived from Latin. So here lingua means tongue and istics means knowledge or science. So together they form the word linguistics. Linguistics encompasses the analysis of every aspect of language as well as the methods for studying and modeling them. So the traditional areas of linguistic analysis include phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. Some of you must be new to this. Don't you worry, we will seriously discuss all these aspects in my upcoming videos. Meanwhile, I'll just introduce you to phonetics. Phonetics is the branch of linguistics that studies how humans produce and perceive sounds. Similarly, syntax means the arrangements of words and phrases. Semantic refers to meanings, etc. So, shall we have a look at who a linguist is? Yes. So, a linguist is basically a researcher who's dedicated to the systematic study of language, and they study every aspect of language including vocabulary, grammar, the sounds of language, and also how words evolve over time. Yes, so we'll have a quick look at the definitions of language. It is not easy to define language. The term language has been defined differently by different people. Let's look at some of these definitions to understand what language is. So firstly, the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary defines language as, I quote, a system of sounds, words, patterns, etc. used by humans to communicate thoughts and feelings, I unquote. Moving on to the next definition, the most widely used definition of language is that which is put forth by Edward Sapir. Who was Edward Sapir? An American linguist. According to Sapir, I quote, language is purely human and non-instinctive method of communicating ideas, emotions, and desires by means of voluntarily produced symbols, I unquote. And there is this another definition which says the totality of the utterances that can be made in a speech community is the language of that speech community, said Bloomfield in his Language. Here, language is a work written by him. Moving on to the origins of language. No one knows exactly how language originated, and because of this, there is no dearth of speculations about the origins of human speech. Let's briefly consider some of these. The divine source theory, the natural sound source theory, the Pupu theory, and finally the ding dong theory. Let's have a detailed look at them. Firstly, the divine source theory. According to one view, God created Adam, and whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. So according to Hindu tradition, language came from goddess Saraswati. In most religions, there appeared to be a divine source that provided humans with language. Generally, every society has a divine story to tell about how language originated. So that was the divine source theory. Moving on to the natural sound source theory. Another view of the origin of human speech is based on the concept of natural sounds. The theory suggests that first words were imitations of the natural sounds which early men and women heard around them. The fact that all languages have some words which seem to echo naturally occurring sounds could have led to this theory, such as cuckoo, bang, buzz, hiss, bow wow, etc. are some examples from English. Moving on to the Pupu theory. In the year 1871, Darwin proposed that, like man himself, his language also developed from a more primitive form, probably from expressions of emotions. According to this theory, language began with instinctive emotive cries such as "oh" for surprise and "ouch" for pain. The critics of Darwin's theory scornfully named it the Pupu theory. Moving on to the ding dong theory. This is proposed by Max Muller. According to this theory, there was a mystic relationship between sound and meaning. Language must have evolved because humans needed it for the following purposes. Which are they? To give factual information and to convey commands, to convey emotions and feelings, to maintain social contact on a friendly level, and also to relieve nervous tension. We'll deal with the characteristics of language in our upcoming videos. Till then, take care, subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.